In alhamdulillah wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. We're continuing with the hadith class and we are studying the hadiths from Sahih Muslim and we are in the first volume. Today we will be beginning Kitab al-Hayd, which is the book of Menses. And these are hadiths addressing not only the woman's menstruation but also discharge and that sort of thing that happens to us as humans. We have to understand that Islam is not just a religion, but it is a way of life. And our Prophet Muhammad came to us and taught us how to live this life. He didn't just teach us how to worship Allah. He also taught us how to take care of ourselves, how to interact with each other, how to have good manners and good behavior with each other as husbands and wives and friends and neighbors and co-workers and etc. So a lot of people, non-Muslims, will ask questions like, Sister Layla or Layla Nashiba, I listen to your lectures on the internet and you're speaking about things like menses and discharge and all this taking a bath. What does that have to do with worshiping God? Well, it has to do a lot with worshiping God. Okay? Allah is the one who makes the rules. Allah is the one that set the guidelines for us. He created us to worship Him. He put us here on this earth, surrounded us with all these wonderful things, and told us to live our lives and enjoy ourselves here. But don't forget our obligation, which is to Him, to prove to Him that we believe in Him and worship Him alone. So He taught us how to take care of our bodies, how to eat, how to sleep, how to do those things, how to live a successful life in this world and end up gaining even more success in the hereafter. So, the non-Muslims have a hard time understanding that. They may laugh and think it's funny to hear a person, a religious person, speak about menses and all that, but that's on them. Remember, on the day of judgment, one of the good things about being a person of paradise is Allah will allow you to look down and see into the hellfire. And you will look down and see all those people who used to ridicule you and mock you and make fun of you in this world. And you can call out to them and ask them, who's got the last laugh now? Who's the crazy person now, me or you? So let's look at the hadiths in this chapter, Kitab al-Hayd, or the book of Menses. And a big question that a lot of Muslims ask is, when a woman is on her menses, is she impure to the point whereas if a person touches their wudu is broken or they have to take a ghusl? Let me give you some background on this. Before Islam, the Christians, the Jews, they used to look upon a woman as being impure when she's on her menses. I'm sure you guys have all heard the made up story about Adam and Eve, that Allah cursed Eve by giving her a menses, and all of this, which is not true. A woman has a menses for a reason. This is how she procreates. It allows her to make babies, to have children. And being on your menses is not a bad thing. It's not something that you as a Muslim woman is supposed to hate. Allah created us and He made us weaker than men. Weaker not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually too. You should not look at your menses as a curse like the Christians and Jews do. You should look at your menses for what it truly is. As our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us, the menses is a woman's break away from her everyday religious duties. It's hard to go the whole month fasting for doing Ramadan. It's hard to pray those 5 prayers every day. So Allah knows that we women are weaker spiritually than men are, so He gives us a menses. And you should look at your menses as your break away from your spiritual duties, because that's what it is. When a woman is on her menses, she is forbidden to pray. You cannot make salat when you're on your menses. You also cannot fast when you're on your menses. So you have a break away from your religious duties, be it 1 day, 5 days, 10 days, 14 days, however long your menses last. And also, guys, a menses is not determined by the amount of days that you bleed either. Your menses is determined by the blood, the color of the blood that comes out of you. If the color is red, brown, yellow, pink, you're on your menses and you just wait till it ends. It can be 14 days, it can be 20 days. Some women have a menses that lasts 20 days. You wait until it's completely over, when there is nothing coming out of you but clear liquid, and that's when you know that your menses has ended, and then you take a ghusl and you resume your religious duties, your religious obligations. So a menses is not a curse for us women. It's a blessing. It's a blessing given to us by Allah. I'm telling you, sisters, when you get older and no longer have a menses, you will understand how much of a blessing it was, because it's hard to do those prayers every day without a break, and that fasting during Ramadan without a break. Oh, you'd be wishing, oh, I wished I had a menses so I can take a little 2-3 day break, because there are no other breaks. So let's look at some of the hadiths addressing the menses. Aisha tells us, when any of the Prophet's wives got her period, the Prophet would tell them to tie a waist garment around them, and he would then embrace them. That answers the question that a lot of people ask: does touching a woman make you impure because she's on her period? No. The Prophet used to touch his wives. He used to kiss his wives. He used to hug his wives. He used to fondle his wives when they were on their period. The only thing that we are forbidden to do is have sexual intercourse, which means penetration. We are only forbidden to penetrate with our spouse when we are on our menses. But as far as lying in the bed with your spouse, sleeping with them, kissing them, touching them, this is all permissible in Islam. And the reason why the Prophet would have his wives put a garment on is so so that no one would transgress the limits in their embracing. And that's why Maymuna, who was one of the wives of the Prophet, said the Prophet would contact and embrace us. We'd have a waist wrapper or a waist cover over us, so he wouldn't, transgress the limits, which is penetration when a woman's on her period. And also we have the hadith from another wife of the Prophet, Salama. She said, when I was lying with the Prophet in the bed, I got my menses. So I got up, walked away, and put on the clothes I usually wear when my menses begins. When the Prophet saw that, he asked, are you on your period? I said, yes. He then said, oh, that's okay. Come on, lay down. You can still sleep with me. And the reason being is because the Jews, what did the Jews do? The Jews, whenever a woman got her period, they would not come in contact with her. They would make her go stay in the barn. They would not eat with her. They would not sit with her. They would not sleep in the same room with her until after her menses was over. And so that's why Allah sent down the verse in the Qur'an where he says, if they ask you about menstruation, tell them that it's a pollution. So just stay away from them sexually when they are menstruating. And that's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when your wife gets her menses, you can do everything you want with her. Hug her, kiss her, touch her, fondle her, do whatever you want. The only thing that you can't do is penetrate her in intercourse. And when the Prophet said this, the Jews heard about that and they got angry. They said, this man always got something to say that opposes what we say. But that's just the way it is. So a woman is not an animal. You don't have to put your wife in a barn or make her sleep in a separate bed or a separate room because she has her period. You can still sleep with her. You can touch her, kiss her, fondle her, do whatever you want. Just no penetration. And here's some examples from the hadith, from the Sunnah. Aisha said that when the Prophet was in seclusion at the mosque, He would stick his head out the door so she could comb his hair and wash his hair. And she was on her menses. So that answers the question, does a woman on her menses break your wudu? If your wife is on her period and you touch her, does she break your wudu? No. A woman is not a dog or anything like that. We don't break anyone's wudu. You can touch your wife and don't have to wash your hands or make a wudu. Aisha said the Prophet would stick his head out for me to comb, and I was in a state of menstruating. In fact, the Aisha tells us once the Prophet asked her, he said, "Oh Aisha, go get me the mat from out of the mosque." She said, "But Prophet, I have my period." He said, "Your period is not in your hand." In other words, you can pick up the prayer mat. A lot of people ask this, Sister Layla, if a woman touches a prayer mat when she's on her period, does that mean I can't pray on it? No, that's not true. As you can see, Aisha went and got the mat and gave it to the Prophet, and the Prophet prayed on it. Subhanallah. Also, Aisha tells us, I used to drink when I was on my period. And I would give the cup I was drinking from to the Prophet, and he would put his mouth where mine was and drink from it. And I was on my menses. So again, a woman does not make you impure. She also said I would eat flesh from a bone when I was on my period. And I would give the bone to the Prophet, and he would eat where my mouth was. And also, Aisha tells us the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to lie down in my lap when I was on my period, and he would recite the Qur'an. So that also answers the question that so many Muslims ask about, can a woman recite the Quran when she's on her period? Yes, you can. You're just bleeding. You're not impure. You just can't pray. You just can't fast. But you can do everything else. You can remember Allah. You can read Quran. You can recite Quran. You can read the hadith books. You can come to class. Our Prophet used to lay in Aisha's lap and recite the Quran. Subhanallah. Again, this is why Muslims are so distorted about this religion. They don't know the hadiths. They're so busy looking for fatwa on the internet from men who they think are gods, when they need to find a bona fide, qualified teacher to teach them this deen, to teach them the hadiths, and then they'll see, because all the rules come from Allah. And our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given us those rules. But you're not going to know what they are unless you learn the things he said and the things he did, which are the hadiths. So the hadiths here prove that touching a woman does not make you impure. You do not have to take a ghusl because you touched her. Also, you can recite the Quran and everything else. She doesn't break your wudu. None of that crap. So those are the things that we need to know about a menses. And by the way, again, for you sisters, you cannot pray until your menses is over. You can read the Quran and do everything else, but no salat. You can make dua. A lot of sisters ask me, can I supplicate? Can I supplicate when I'm on my period? Yes, you can. Can I talk to Allah when I'm on my period? Yes, you can. Can I even prostrate to Allah when I'm on my period? Yes, you can. You just cannot perform the ritual salat. That's all. Until after your menses is done. And don't rush it. You wait until it is completely done. And now that brings us to the next section of this chapter. El-Mahdi. What is El-Mahdi? This is prostatic fluid, or as we call it in simple English terms, discharge that comes from out of your private part. Men have discharge and so do women. Sometimes you go to answer the call of nature, you look in your underwear and you see some wet discharge. What does that do? Well, let's look at what Ali told us. He said he was a person who suffered with prostatic fluid. It used to leak from out of his private parts. And he was ashamed to ask the Prophet about it because he was the Prophet's son-in-law. So he had someone else go and ask the Prophet, what do you do? So the person went and said, "Oh, Prophet of Allah, what does a person do if they have discharge that comes out of their private part?" The Prophet says, simply wash the private part and then make a wudu before you pray. That's it. So there's your answer. You do not have to take a ghusl. You do not have to take a bath. And the same thing applies for women. If a woman notices that she has discharge coming out of her vagina inside her underwear, and this is normal because what goes up must come down. This is the way the body cleanses itself. The body cleanses, even for men, the body cleanses itself with that discharge. So if you notice that you have discharge in your underwear, you don't have to go crazy. All you have to do is wash your private parts, and then when it's time to make salat, make a fresh wudu. That's it. Make a fresh wudu. If you want to change your underwear, change your underwear. 'Cause a lot of people ask me, can I change my underwear? Yeah, if you want to change your underwear, go ahead. Some people don't wear underwear. What do? Just wash the private parts. And when it's time for the prayer, make salat. That's it. Make wudu and make salat. Okay? So again, that's what we do. Again, people make fun of Islam, but no, Islam is a way of life as well as a religion. So that's what you do when you find that you have discharge in your underwear. You simply just wash the private part, get a washcloth and wash yourself or some wipes. Another sister asked me, Sister Layla, can I use baby wipes? Yeah, get the baby wipes and wipe yourself. Yeah, that's what you do. Go in the bathroom, get you some baby wipes, wipe your private part, and then when it's time to pray, make wudu, make a fresh wudu and go pray. That's it. No need for a bath. And also, guys, when our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would wake up at night to use the bathroom, he used to wash his face and hands and go back to sleep. But does that mean that we have to do that? No. This is a question. I put this hadith here because someone sent me an email saying, Sister Layla, when the Prophet used to wake up in the middle of the night, he would wash his face and hands and then go back to sleep. Do we have to do that? No. That's what he did. That's a sunnah action, something that he did, but that he never said that we had to do that. It's not an obligation upon us to get every time we wake up to wash your face and hands and go back to sleep. Okay? And this brings us to the next chapters in the book of Menses and Discharge. What about this? Is it permissible for a husband and wife to have relations and then go to sleep without taking a ghusl? Or do they have to get up and take a ghusl immediately? And the same with Ramadan. If me and my husband have relations, do I have to get up and take a ghusl? Or what if I oversleep and wake up after Fajr? Is my fast invalid? Well, the answer is no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to immediately take a ghusl. You can fall asleep with your wife. Aisha tells us whenever the Prophet intended to go to sleep after having relations, he would make wudu and then go to sleep. And that's what we do. After you and your wife are done doing what you do, you can get up and wash your private part. Wash your private part and then go to sleep. Okay? Wash your private part and wash the areas where you make wudu and go to sleep. That's it. Because cleanliness is so important. Okay? Ibn Umar said, Umar asked for the Islamic verdict on this from the Prophet. He said, is it permissible for any one of us to sleep when we are in a state of impurity from being with our wives? The Prophet said, you must perform wudu and then sleep. Take a bath whenever you wake up. Hello. So there you go, guys. When you and your wives are doing whatever it is that husbands and wives do, when you're done, simply both of you go and wash your private part. Yeah, you can use those baby wipes. Yeah, that's right. Just take the baby wipes, and wash your private part off. Or take a washcloth, wash your private part off, and then make a wudu like you would do if you were praying, and then go to sleep. That's it. Take your bath when you wake up. Okay? Another hadith, the Prophet told a person, make wudu, wash your sexual organ, and then go to sleep. Another person said, I asked Aisha about the night prayer of the Prophet. What did he do after having sexual intercourse? Did he take a bath before he went to sleep, or did he go to sleep before taking a bath? She said he would do both. Sometimes he'd take a bath before he went to sleep, sometimes he'd take one afterwards. That shows the ease of Islam. That shows how Allah made Islam so easy for us. Allah doesn't want to put a hardship on us. It's a hardship getting up, taking a bath, and then taking another one and taking another one. You can just wait till you're done and take one when you wake up. The only thing is, guys, after you and your wife are done, wash your private part. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when anyone amongst you has sexual relations with your wife and you want to repeat it, it's okay, but wash your private part and perform wudu between the actions. This is if you're going to another wife. Let me explain what this hadith is talking about. Say, for example, you are married and you have two wives or more. You are with one wife and now you want to leave her and go visit your other wife who lives in another house. Do I have to take a bath? No. What you can do is, when you're done with the first wife, wash your private part, then make a wudu, because remember, wudu is the little bath. Ghusl is the big bath. The big bath is when you wash your entire body. Wudu is when you wash only certain parts to be clean. So when you're done with one wife and you want to go visit another wife, you don't have to take a ghusl, but wash your private part off, which is clean. That's clean yourself off and then make a wudu, and then you can go be with your other wife. Again, between the two actions, there should be an ablution. Because again, what does ablution mean? It's you're washing away, it's the little bath. It's, you don't want to go to your other wife with smears on you from the previous one. So wash off your private part. Wash your face, your hands, your arms, wipe over your head, and all of that. You don't have to take a ghusl. And I hope that is clear. And also this chapter addresses another issue that many Muslims argue about. And only the ignorant ones do this. The ones who are intelligent have a teacher, a bona fide, qualified teacher who can teach them this deen, who teaches them the hadith the way I'm teaching you guys. What about wet dreams? This happens. And by the way, guys, women have wet dreams too. There's some people out there who think that a woman does not have a wet dream. This is ignorance. Women are not dogs. We're not animals. We're human beings like you. We have emotions like you. We have the same feelings that a man has. We laugh, we cry, we hurt, we feel happy. We experience the same emotions that a man experiences. Only an ignorant person would think that. So women have wet dreams too. Well, what do you do when you have a wet dream? Well, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that whenever you have a wake up and you find that you have had a wet dream, you have to take a bath. You have to take a bath. Because again, you have to, be purified when it's time to pray. Let's look at this hadith here. Sulaim, who was the grandmother of Ishaq, came to the Prophet while Aisha was sitting with him. And she asked him, she said, "O Prophet of Allah, if a woman has a dream just like men have, and she wakes up and experiences an orgasm like men do, what should she do?" When she asked this question, Aisha said, Sulaim, how dare you? Women don't have wet dreams. The Prophet laughed and said, "Oh Aisha, yes, women do." So there's your evidence. Yes, women do. Women have wet dreams too. He said, Sulaim, if that happens, then the woman should take a bath just like a man has to take a bath. That's it. So there's your evidence. Wet dreams. If you experience a wet dream, when you wake up, take a ghusl, take a bath, a complete bath. And that's what you teach your children too. Because the teenagers, that when your children reach teenage puberty, they're going to experience a lot of wet dreams. So you teach your daughters and your sons that if they wake up and find themselves wet down there, to go and take a complete ghusl. A woman asked the Prophet about what should a woman do if she experiences an orgasm in her sleep. The Prophet said if she experiences what a man experiences, which is an orgasm in her sleep, then she should take a bath. So there's the evidence. Again, everything is about evidence. This is why you have to have a teacher to teach you this religion, instead of listening to what people say on the internet or what lectures you hear from people you think are gods on the internet. So thus, guys, what lessons have we learned today from the beautiful sayings of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Well, you learn first of all that for a woman to be on her menses, this is nothing to be ashamed about, nothing to even feel bad about. This is life. It's a blessing. A woman's menses is a blessing. It is not a curse. And when she's on her menses, she's allowed to sleep in the same bed and interact with her husband. She can do everything intimate with her husband except penetration. And I repeat that. The only thing that a woman must avoid when she's on her menses with her husband is intercourse through penetration. Other than that, everything, and I mean everything else, is lawful. Also, we learned that when a woman is on her menses, she can recite the Qur'an. We also learned that touching a woman who is on her menses does not break your wudu, nor does it make you impure. We also learned that women and men both experience discharge from the private parts. Discharge is also the way Allah created us. It's the body's way of cleansing itself. And if a person does experience discharge, no need to panic. You don't have to take a ghusl or a bath. All you have to do is simply wash your private area. You can use those baby wipes. And then make wudu before you pray. Also, we learn that when a husband and wife are intimate with one another, they do not have to take a ghusl immediately afterwards. They can sleep and take their ghusl later. But before they go to sleep, it is highly, 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 highly recommended that they wash the private area. You can use those baby wipes again. Keep a box of baby wipes nearby. Keep them in your purse. Keep them on your dresser. Wipe your body parts and then go make a wudu before sleeping. And also, if you're fasting, the same thing. Just take a ghusl when you wake up. We also learn that a husband and wife can have multiple sexual relations during the night. They don't have to stop, go take a bath, then go back, stop, take another bath. They just take a ghusl when they wake up. The same thing again is just wash the private part, and make a wudu before each instance. And this is in regards to a man going with another wife. Say a man has 3 or 4 wives. He wants to leave this wife and go visit. I'm going to leave her home and go visit my other wife and spend the rest of the night with my other wife. Okay, then he should, wash his private parts and make wudu before each instance. And finally, we learned that both women and men do have wet dreams. A wet dream is nothing to be ashamed of. It happens. This is Allah's way of releasing what's within you. When you wake up and find yourself wet down there, just go and take a bath. A complete ghusl, a bath. So we'll stop right here for today. Tomorrow I'm going to quiz you on the things we discussed today, and then we'll move on to the next chapters in the book of Menses. So if you have any questions or comments, you can type them on the screen. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta